shot to the middle, back to Chris.
Broke it up. There's a shot. They score! They score!
Bernardo Fords.
Bethlehem Steel comes to the Queen City to take on Charlotte Independence. Bethlehem Steel, one of the famed names in American soccer that goes all the way back to 1909. Now they're an expansion team reborn in the Lehigh Valley, ready to go up against Charlotte Independence here tonight at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. And what has been an interesting week for Independence, announcing this week that they will play Swansea City from the Premier League coming up in July. But right now, Independence focused solely on Bethlehem Steel and trying to earn its first victory since May 7th. And good evening from the Ramblewood Soccer Complex. My name is Jeff Hamlin, joined alongside by Patrick Daka. Ryan Brown is our director tonight. Happy to have him back as we gear up for 5-3-3 Charlotte Independence going up against 3-4-4 Bethlehem Steel FC. And Patrick, after winning 4 in a row, 5 in a row counting all competitions, in the U.S. Open Cup, Charlotte is in the midst of a 4-game USL winless streak. Their last win came against FC Montreal, as we mentioned, on May 7th. Since then, they've had ties against Wilmington and Rochester. They dropped the game against Orlando City B. And then last Saturday night here against Toronto FC 2, Independence had to come from a 2-goal deficit just to square up and draw with Toronto FC 2 at 2-2 in a game that was stopped because of torrential rain in the 73rd minute. And now tonight you have to wonder where Charlotte's confidence is as they go up against a Bethlehem Steel team that is also somewhat struggling.
Yeah, definitely. When you have a long run of no wins, it definitely affects the players' mentality and affects their confidence going in. One thing we know for sure about Charlotte is that they will score goals. The other thing we know is that they will give the other team opportunities to score goals. Now, their job tonight, as I'm watching from a fan's perspective and from a coaching perspective, is how can we score goals, create chances and score goals, and then stop the other team from attacking our goalie. Because right now our goalkeeper, their goalkeeper is recording 34 saves.
That's right.
That's a lot of saves, and that means something is not being done right in front of him.
That's exactly right, and certainly when it comes to that defensive front of Bethlehem Steel, they are a big team. We've looked up and down their lineup chart here, and the players they'll be starting tonight, in fact, we'll go over the Ortho Carolina starting lineup right now. And you take a look at the starting lineup for Bethlehem Steel that we'll have in just a second. Corey Book at 6'2". You got the goalkeeper, Samir Badar, who played the last 2 seasons in USL. The smallest man, ironically, on the defensive line is number 3, Taylor Washington. He'll play right back tonight. That's usually the spot we expect to see the tallest players, but he's only 5'10". Mickey Daly will be a center back. So will the captain of the team, Ryan Richter. Aaron Trusty is a young man you might see play in North Carolina more. He is verbally committed to play at UNC. He signed an amateur contract with Bethlehem Steel, so he's playing right now for no money, but he is going to fulfill his obligation to play with the Tar Heels. Independence eventually. Cole Missimo will start at midfield. Derek Jones, the leading scorer on the field, another midfielder. Balu Akinyode is another midfielder. James Chambers, a veteran who's actually in his 13th professional season, although he's only 29 years of age. He's another midfielder. Jamie Lucchini and Corey Burke getting the start tonight for Bethlehem Steel, coached by Brandon Burke in their first year as a franchise. Burke, a former assistant with Philadelphia Union. Shifting over to Charlotte Independence, some changes tonight, but the back line looking quite familiar. John Berner will be the goalkeeper once again, starting his third straight USL game. Joel Johnson back in the lineup with the captain of the team, Bilal Duckett. Patrick Slogic and Henry Kalungi is back in the starting lineup as well. So the faces that you've grown used to when it comes to that defensive front for Charlotte back in there. Jan Akra, Jorge Herrera, June Marcus Davidson, and Brian Brown starting in the midfield. And Zach Pfeffer, a former member of the City Islanders, getting the start tonight with Caleb Calvert. That is your Ortho Carolina starting lineup. Ortho Carolina proud to be the presenting sponsor and official team physician of your Charlotte Independence. Ortho Carolina, you improved. We touched on a moment ago, Patrick, looking at these lineups here. Corey Brook at 6'2", Bolo Akinyade at 6'1", Jamie Lucchini at 6'2", Ryan Richter, who's the captain of the team, he'll be the man taking kicks on set pieces. He's 6'2". This is a tall group.
This is a tall group. You can already see the mentality coming in. They are going to try and force Charlotte into a physical game. They're big, they're strong, they're athletic. Charlotte, on the other end, might need to look at it and say, well, maybe these guys, can we go in physically with them, or should we start moving off the ball quickly, and should we move the ball a little bit quicker? Because if they try to play a physical game against a physical team that's already ready for that kind of game, it might be a losing game. The other thing for Charlotte will be to avoid unnecessary set pieces right in front of the goal. Corner kicks, free kicks, things like that, where the big guys come forward and try to put their head on it.
And most notably, that's where someone like a Derek Jones will come into play, because he has a big body. He's also the leading scorer on this team. And this is an interesting Bethlehem Steel FC team that's not all that unusual from FC Montreal, Toronto FC2, the New York Red Bulls 2, or Orlando City B, in the fact that they are an MLS-owned USL franchise, or as Mike Jeffries, the coach of Charlotte Independence, likes to call them, an MLS2 team when you get right down to it. And they have players going up to Philadelphia Union and back to Bethlehem Steel. It used to be that Harrisburg City was the official developmental team for Philadelphia Union, but the change was made in the offseason, and it became official that Philadelphia Union would in fact bring its own franchise into USL, and thus Bethlehem Steel was born. And it's interesting, the lineage of this team. Bethlehem Steel was chosen as the nickname, even though they represent the Lehigh Valley. They had a Name the Team contest, and obviously a lot of folks over in Pennsylvania are familiar with the lineage of Bethlehem Steel, because that name goes all the way back to 1909. That's when the Bethlehem Football Club was first formed. The team was renamed Bethlehem Steel back in 1909 because many of its employees played on the team, and they were also employees of the Bethlehem Steel Company.
Makes sense.
So what you'll see here tonight on the lower end of the uniforms on the kits for Bethlehem Steel is a capital red B. That is very similar to what the original Bethlehem Steel wore over a century ago. So much so, Bethlehem Steel also was the first team to have a soccer-specific stadium built in America. In 1913, the Bethlehem Steel Company built Bethlehem Steel Athletic Field, and they were a dominant team. So they decided to basically trace the lineage, and that's how Bethlehem Steel was reborn here in the year 2016. As you see the Novant Health player escorts, Novant Health, the official healthcare provider of Charlotte Independence. Novant Health, improving the health of our community, one person at a time. And of course, you can't talk about Charlotte Independence without bringing up once again Jorge Herrera. Jorge wasn't starting very much about a month ago. After the FC Cincinnati game, he basically became a bench player, but now Jorge has come on like a house of fire. He scored once in the victory over Charlotte Eagles. And now, just when you're ready to write him off, Jorge is once again the leading scorer on this team after putting up a pair of goals last Saturday, coincidentally enough, on his daughter's birthday.
See, that's the power of experience.
Yes.
Jorge has been around. He knows how to take over games. Sometimes when games are not going very well, you need someone on the team that will say, you know what, I'm taking charge of this game. And Jorge is the kind of guy that has the experience, the understanding, and the knowledge of the game to say, I can take over the game.
That's what he did last week, getting a couple of pretty crosses, one from David Estrada minutes into the second half and another from Chris Hellman. We're going to pause for the national anthem live here tonight from the Ramblewood Soccer Complex as we gear up for Bethlehem versus Charlotte. A three-game homestand for Charlotte. They'll be back in action next Saturday to go up against the Richmond Kickers. And Bethlehem Steel is starting off a long road trip. This is the first of a 5-game road trip that will take them all through the South. In fact, they'll play at Wilmington next week. They'll eventually make their way to City Stadium in Richmond. They'll face FC Cincinnati and then wrap it up north of the border against Toronto FC2. The good news for Bethlehem Steel FC is that after this 5-game road trip, they get 6 in a row at their new confines at Lehigh University's Goodman Stadium. Here tonight, though, Charlotte in desperate need of 3 points because it felt like they let 2 points slip away after notching that tie against a struggling Toronto FC2 team last week. And without hesitation, Mike Jeffries, the head coach of Charlotte, said that the first half against the Junior Reds last week was the team's worst half of the year. They wound up trailing 2-0 going into the break. Jorge Herrera, though, responsible for the 2 goals that brought Charlotte back on assist, as we mentioned before the national anthem, from David Estrada and Christopher Hellman. And then the game was halted in the 73rd minute because of a thunderstorm. The field was cleaned up. In fact, the entire front office staff for Independence was out trying to clean the field to make sure it could be restarted. The game could be restarted, but it didn't work out that way. And Mike Jeffries was upset with that night's official, Brandon Artis, that the game was not restarted. Interestingly enough, Bethlehem Steel's last game also had a lightning delay against the New York Red Bulls 2 last week. But that game was restarted, and the New York Red Bulls 2 wound up winning that one over at Goodman Stadium 1-0. It's important for Charlotte tonight to come out with a vengeance. They lacked a flow offensively last week, but part of that was because they were playing just 3 nights after a grueling U.S. Open Cup game against the Carolina Railhawks over in Cary, a game that went to extra time and oddly enough ended with a remarkable scoreline of 5-0 in overtime for the Railhawks. The back line had to be substituted for because Charlotte spent about 66 minutes of that Railhawks game playing with 10 men after a red card was given to June Marcus Davidson. For now, Jorge Herrera takes the ball from the referee for tonight's game, Brandon Burke. He's assisted by Jeff Cook, Stephen Hogan, and the 4th official is Jay Cooney. Charlotte Independence looking for its first win in over a month as they line up to play Bethlehem Steel FC for the first time ever tonight here at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. And there you see Brian Brown sending the ball to Jan Ekra, and the game is underway here tonight. And Jorge Herrera has a 2-game USL goal-scoring streak going right now. He'll try to make it 3 in a row tonight, but first, this tall group of Bethlehem Steel players looking for its first win since they defeated FC Montreal. That was back on May the 15th.
They don't travel well as a team, do they?
Balou Akinyode lost possession. Brian Brown has jump-started things at times. The field, you can tell, is still patchy. We had a lot of rainfall not only last week but 3 weeks ago that has created a lot of dusty spots here and there, and that forced the postponement of a game scheduled against FC Cincinnati that was supposed to be played a couple of weeks ago. That has been rescheduled for August 31st. Back at the other end, running hard up the field, Joel Johnson goes into the 6. Keeping that one out is Trusty, and he sends it up the field to Cole Misimo. Misimo down to the right, tries a through ball that was intended for Corey Burke, picked off by June Marcus Davidson. Charlotte in their royal blue uniforms tonight, and Bethlehem Steel in their road whites. They wore those uniforms last time in a loss, or rather a tie, against the Rochester Rhinos, 2-2. That was in upstate New York on May 28th.
Charlotte is going with a 1-4-2-1-3 formation with Jorge playing right underneath Brian Brown. But when they are attacking, Jorge moves up forward to make it a 2-front attack. So that gives them numbers going forward, but it also leaves them vulnerable in the midfield. Because Derek Jones and Bolu Akinyode, they just sitting right in front of their 2 center backs, so to neutralize anything that's coming through. And then Cole Massimo is the guy that's playing up front, behind the number 9, number 41, Corey Burke. So it's important to win the midfield battle, and that's what is going to be key for this game today.
It could very well be that Mike Jeffries wants to test the speed of this Bethlehem Steel FC squad. We've talked about their size, but how quickly can they respond?
Yes, are they very quick off their feet? Are they very agile?
Jorge takes a ball that was sent to him by Brian Brown, but he couldn't keep up with it. Sent out a play by the captain of the team, Ryan Richter, in his 6th professional season. Richter has been quite around a lot throughout professional soccer. He spent last year and a half with Ottawa Fury FC of the North American Soccer League, and now back in the USL. Ekra aims to the far side. Joel Johnson at right back. A chip sent in by Calvert, sent out by Trusty.
I actually stand corrected there. James Chambers is actually playing the number 10 role right behind Corey Burke, and Cole Massimo is out wide on the left.
Samir Badir comes out of net, the native of Fairfax, Virginia, who graduated from high school and then right to the DC United Youth Academy he went. He decided not to play any college soccer whatsoever. Spikes went up. G. Marcus Davidson comes away holding his eye as Corey Burke got his legs up in the air. That's interesting for June because he was given a red card for a similar offense. Through ball put through. Richter on a good overrun. Down to the right, squares away against Zach Pfeffer, puts it toward the net. That's disposed of quickly by Kalungi. Still in net to the right. A shot was blocked. Rebound goes over. Good shot by Slogic on Jamie Lucchini, the rookie out of Lehigh.
That's a brilliant ball across, and a poor clearance. Really, you can say that Duckett was way off balance when he tried to clear that ball, but he didn't go too far. He didn't get the distance that he needed. That gave him another opportunity to come in and try and score again, but then the finish was a little bit poor.
Lucchini, the rookie, was looking for his first of the year. All of 21 years of age, he spent 4 years with Lehigh.
The humidity is going to be a factor. The heat and the humidity is going to be a factor in this game. The pace at which this game is going to be played will be determined by the humidity.
Free ball taken by the Steel. Up the field to the far end. The wing back, McDaly sends it across, and it'll lead out to our first corner of the night. Fans, don't forget, if you need a ride, download the YC mobile app and use promo code INDEPENDENCE for $15 off your first ride. Yellow Cab of Charlotte, official transportation provider of Charlotte Independence. James Chambers lines up for the corner, swings in, headed out by Caleb Calvert.
Good head out by Calvert, but this is where it gets tricky for Charlotte, because they're a big team, they're a physical team, so they expect to win all those balls in the air, but Caleb did very well in the air.
Jones plays it alongside for Aaron Trusty on the overlap, and it'll lead to corner number 2 of the night early on. Charlotte struggling to figure out the pace of play that Bethlehem Steel has dictated thus far.
Yeah, right now Bethlehem asking all the right questions. Charlotte is going to need to soak up the pressure a little bit and see this first 20 minutes out at least.
Chambers, the native of Dublin Iron, sends it in, and John Berner and net had to stay very close to the goal line and make sure that his hands were outreached so the ball didn't go over the line of play, but he comes up with the free ball.
That was a tricky ball as well. Any miscommunication between him and Jorge right there would have caused a lot of problems for Charlotte, but they communicated, Jorge ducked, and keeper came out and got it.
Berner starting tonight. He was loaned to Colorado, loaned to Charlotte by Colorado just before the season. Duckett, the co-captain, man who's tied for the team lead in assist with several others. He had 2 early on this year. Taking that ball free, Bolu Akiyande in his second season. He played at Seton Hall. Play to the right. This is Lucchini. Looks in on the overlap. It's Richter, sent away by Pfeffer, and it'll lead to a third Bethlehem corner here within 8 minutes.
Bethlehem corner kick taken by number 45, James Chambers.
James Chambers started his professional career in Ireland at the age of 17. He spent 10 years playing with Shelbourne in Ireland, also played in Scotland and in England. This is his first season playing soccer in America. He's all of 29, and yet this is his 13th professional season.
He and Jorge can exchange stories.
Certainly. This ball swings high. Richter tries to bounce it back in. That's nullified by Ekra. Tracing back, Taylor Washington, another rookie. He's out of George Mason.
Speaking of that, Kalunji as well is another one. He's played for a while now.
Yep. Henry also played quite a while in that game against the Railhawks, so much so that he and Slogic wound up sitting out last week. Duckett did start along that back line, but Johnson, Kalunji, and Slogic were out. Winning that free ball, Mickey Daly sends it to the far end. And that is Taylor Washington, the rookie, who's 22. Sliding challenge by Joel Johnson to the delight of Jack's Militia. And it will lead to a fourth Lehigh Valley corner here within the first 10 minutes of this game.
They are definitely attacking the flanks. They realize or they recognize that that's where their strength is. So get the balls wide and get runners into the box, but get good services in.
Chambers goes quickly, ball headed away. Nicely, it appeared by Kalunji and sent out by Ekra, but it's a bit of danger here that Charlotte's playing with, Patrick. It's like you talked about beforehand with set pieces. You don't want to give Bethlehem Steel set pieces, even though it hasn't burned Charlotte as of yet. It could if this continues.
Yeah, the question is how long are you going to defend those set pieces before you make a mistake or before they get, because all they need is just one, and then it turns the game around.
Exactly. This is a Bethlehem team that has been shut out 4 times this season. They had back-to-back scoreless draws against Louisville City FC and Charleston. Kalunji, as that ball is knocked in deep, takes it over. Slogic. Charlotte, just like last week, struggling to get any offensive flow going here. Pfeffer ran up. Richter got a high spike. Mike Jeffries had that happen right in front of him. bench appealing for a foul instead of throw here from Richter.
I wonder how much the absence of Enzo Martinez is affecting the Independents as well, because they need, it seems to me, they need someone who can put their foot on the ball and make things happen. Right now, Bethlehem still is getting the most of possession because they are comfortable on the ball. They need Independence need to get hold of the ball a little bit and retain possession a little bit more.
And Joel Johnson did just that, stripping the ball away from McDaly. Brian Brown in a 1v1. First time tonight that Charlotte's had some isolation.
Yeah, I don't think there was much in that foul.
No, in fact, it wasn't a foul. Daly responsible for the takeaway. Duckett tries to head it back, and it's a faulty header. This is Corey Burke running in. Open net. Burner trying to catch back up, and Burke will fire it in. Just a misplay there by John Burner, and Corey Burke scores his first goal professionally this season. And Bethlehem Steel has scored the opener.
Corey Burke read that really well. Bilal Duckett trying to head the ball back to the goalkeeper, but they didn't have enough behind the ball. So Corey just kept on making his run. Keeper comes out, drew him out, and he had the coolness to put it in the corner.
The goal comes in the 12th minute.
That's why they always say when you are forward, when you are attacking, you should always be an optimist.
Let's take a look at how Burner handled this here. Duckett wanted to send it back, and it wasn't the best back ball sent by Bilal there. Burke really took his time in handling that one and almost wound up being an ignominious mistake, but regardless, he put it in the back of the net.
You could almost say it was coming. It was coming at some point. They had 4 corner kicks in the first 10 minutes. They had the bulk of possession. They had a couple of shots that went over the crossbar. But then it took a mistake from the captain to give them a chance, a real chance on goal. And they took it well. So back to my point, when you're playing on offense, when you're attacking, you should always be an optimist. They always say that when you're on defense, you should always be a pessimist. Always hope for something bad to happen or something to go wrong.
And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened right there. After a poor header by Bilal Duckett intended to go back to John Burner. Lead pass up the field. Burner stumbles out of net, now has to stay inside the box to field that one. Had to watch his footing, but still collects it. So 1-0, unassisted goal for Corey Burke, the native of Jamaica who is on loan from a Jamaican league team, the Rivoli United squad. He scored 12 goals this season in the Red Stripe Premier League and then found his calling here in America in his 3rd professional season, and he scores his first goal as a member of Bethlehem Steel.
Now, Coach Mike is looking for a response from his team. Yes, you can make mistakes and you can give up a goal because the other team wants to score as well. So what do you do after you get scored on? And Bethlehem is looking at the next 5 minutes, trying not to give up anything silly.
We'll take another look at this here. Ryan Brown, a director, dials it up, and you can see that Bilal just didn't get what he wanted to on that header. And that put John Burner in no man's land.
Yeah, John Burner didn't want to give up a PK or a red card as well. And I want to see him coming in with his foot, and then he pulled it out in the last minute. Because any contact on there, that's a red card, and Charlotte is down to 10 men.
Yep. And that would have forced Cody Mazzell into duty. Poor kick by Burner that time, gives away possession. Burner looking for his first win of the season in net. In USL action, he did start the game against the Charlotte Eagles. In the opening round of the US Open Cup, that was a 2-0 Independence victory in the Queen City Derby. It's great to hear also that the Eagles are off to a very good start this season. In the Premier Development League.
They're doing very well, yes. I missed the game against the Independents when they played in the Open Cup, but I understood that it was a fantastic game as well.
A couple rebound goals for Charlotte, the Independents that night. Dribbling into the box nicely. Burke lobs it up, and he left it just wide.
That's a good fit by a big man, by the big man there.
I tell you. That was Derek Jones, rather, the native of Ghana, who is all of 19 years of age.
The finish is not quite what he wanted.
The English Premier League is coming right here to
He just
Mandalay
whipped through
Stadium.
4 people. The
Wow.
finish is not quite what he wanted, but the run and the movement was fantastic. His ball handling skill within a space of 5 yards was brilliant.
Are selling out quickly.
He was aiming for the upper left corner and just barely missed the crossbar. So unlike last week when Independence started well with some tricky passing against Toronto FC2 and then just withered as the first half wore on, here Charlotte has struggled from the very beginning.
Wednesday, July
Bethlehem
13th.
Steel
Get
came
your
out,
tickets today.
aggressively pursued Charlotte. Offensively, they've won 50-50 balls. They forced 4 corners in 10 minutes, and ultimately a poor defensive play has forced John Berner to give up the first goal of the night here from Corey Burke. Charlotte this season is 2-2-1 when giving up the first goal. On the other end, Badir sends it into the seats. Bethlehem Steel coached by Brandon Burke, who spent last season as an assistant at Northeastern University. Interception, Marcus Davison. Sliding challenge made by Chambers. Joel Johnson regathers. Good position put up by Brown. Charlotte trying to get something going in the attacking third, really for the first time tonight, and it leads to Brown drawing a foul against Akiyande.
Good use of his body there, Brown. He had no other option there but to try and hold on to the ball a little bit, but he used his body to protect it and drew a foul.
Enzo Martinez is usually the man who handles the kicking duties on set-piece situations, but he's not starting tonight for the second straight game. Alex Martinez still not back with the squad after suffering an injury during training before the year. There's still no timetable as of yet on his return. Thinking middle of the summer sometime, though not sure exactly when that will be. A little chip in by Jorge. Calvert comes over for it. That's slapped away nicely by Badir.
Keeper read that really well. Just took too long to come down for Caleb. That was a better ball for the goalkeeper and a better ball for Caleb.
And then Davidson is taken down by Burke.
There's that physical presence we were talking about earlier. They are not afraid to use their bodies. They're not afraid to engage physically. So Charlotte has to play a little bit quicker, move the ball a little bit faster.
Johnson tries to flip the field, but that's headed away by Daly. Kalungi with a one-touch. Slodge it back. He was looking for Pfeffer. Instead, it's taken away by Ryan Richter. Now Bolu Akiyande, the native of Nigeria, sends it away to a native of Ghana, Derek Jones. Down the right sideline, Burke intercepted. Marcus Davidson. Charlotte has yet to show the speed to offset these big bodies here, and they've been outplayed in the opening 18 minutes. And another giveaway. Chambers, sliding challenge made, and we have a foul called. Marcus Davidson looks like he's going to be hit with the infraction.
I'd like to see what happened there.
Looked like Akiyande is the man down. Jan Eckler checking on him. Brandon Burke, the 2005 Boston College graduate who spent 7 years coaching with Philadelphia Union. Take a look at this here.
Oh, yeah, you got it right on top of it. Yes. It was a little late.
So after Bethlehem Steel, who has struggled to score goals this year, they are tied for 22nd in USL in goals. Came in with 11, but they scored here in the opening.
And the problem,
11 minutes.
And the problem for Charlotte continues, giving up goals.
Yep. Especially early goals. In fact, it's something both of these teams have had problems with.
It changes the mindset of the game from, hey, we're going to go and control this game and play it to our tempo. Now they have to play to Bethlehem's tempo.
Yeah. Bethlehem Steel has 2 losses already this year to the New York Red Bulls 2. In one game, they gave up a goal in the first 34 seconds. And then last week, they gave up a goal in the 3rd minute, which was the only goal of the day. Brown taken down. Jack's Militia appealing for a foul, none given. And then up the field, Lucchini sends it to no one. Independence has only lost once to an MLS 2 team. That was to Orlando City B 2 weeks ago over Memorial Day weekend. Before that, Charlotte was 5-0-4 lifetime against FC Montreal, Toronto FC 2, and the New York Red Bulls 2.
There's plenty of game to be played. Basically, the humidity is going to be an equalizer.
Yeah.
For the game. The longer the game goes, you have to start asking the Bethlehem players questions whether they can last the length of the game or not. But Charlotte has to start getting back to basics. Control the game, bring the ball down, play shorter passes, but move a little bit quicker. The long balls, the high balls only work for Bethlehem Steel because they're bigger players.
Caleb Calvert sent a through ball that time to Brian Brown. I think some of the Bethlehem players were looking for an offside flag that did not come. Ultimately, Samir Badir had to come over and take care of it himself. First real threat for Independence 20 minutes into the game. Fans, also don't forget that very proud to have the USL Soccer.com website keeping you up to date on everything that's going on in USL. You can look at game highlights, take a look at games, and look at live game streams, all on USLsoccer.com, which I rely on an awful lot for pregame preparation. That and a lot of Rush albums. Last night it was Grace Under Pressure, for those wondering, their 1984 release, which was a very good one. The best of their synthesizer era, in my opinion. You don't listen to Rush, do you, Patrick?
Not really.
I'll get you into that, too.
Yeah, pretty soon now.
Yeah. Akiyande after the interception. Sends it away to another big man, and Derek Jones stripped away by Jorge Herrera, the veteran. Caleb Calvert chips it across. Brian Brown. Some cohesive passing for the first time tonight for Independence. Pfeffer on the overlap. Slodgett got 3 in the box. Tries to get the cross, and it leads to the first Charlotte corner of the night.
It was good interplay, the cross coming in, but you could see a sea of white uniforms, a sea of white jerseys versus 3 blue jerseys in the box. So the chances of scoring in that situation are tough, but at least the sequence was very good. We got in behind them.
Patrick, the attacking left back, has not played since the Railhawks game. Jorge Herrera will send in the corner, goes short to Marcus Davidson. Back over to Jorge. Into the box, feeds it in. Loose ball at the penalty spot, headed forward by Calvert. Saved in by Johnson nicely. No, he didn't save it. We'll take another look at this one here in just a moment. Jorge had the right intent as he went for a post. Charlotte tried to use big bodies against big bodies with Caleb Calvert weighing in.
Caleb is a good lip. He's a good vertical, so he can get up and hit those balls.
Jorge here.
Ding-dong beer.
And unfortunately, that post is the price we pay for moving into a press box. That's just how it is sometimes. But Caleb did get a good head on that one, and Caleb is 6'2", going up against the center backs who are 6'3" and 6'4". Infraction marked off against the Steel. Fans, we'd like to thank the following sponsors for their support of your Charlotte Independence: Roll Oral and Facial Surgery, Spirit Communications, Skyview Dentistry, the U.S. National Whitewater Center, and Dick's Sporting Goods. Sponsors, we thank you. Herrera from distance. Badir has to come up big. Jorge looking for what would be a team-leading 5th goal, 6th in all competitions.
Back again to what we had just said again. June holds on to the ball a little bit, has a little bit of patience to look up, plays a clip up top. Brown knocks it down for Jorge, and Jorge comes in for a sweet volley with his left foot. But that's what the Independent needs to start doing more of. Just be patient.
Last week they had only 3 shots on goal. Granted, it was an abbreviated game that was stopped in the 73rd minute. Still, it was tied for a season low. Also had a season low 3 against Orlando City B. Far sideline, Misimo goes after it. Sliding challenge. And from that, Caleb Calvert momentarily had it, but given away. McDaly. It's Jamie Lucchini with it. And then Daly forces a throw. Take a look at this Jorge attempt here. This was from about 22 yards and had a lot on it.
Good technique with his weaker foot as well.
And the field being in the condition that it's in, it's going to test goalkeepers. When John Berner hasn't had action come his way, he's been stopping down on some of the spots that are a little drier than other spots around that 18.
Yeah, you never know. With a volley like that, with a forward spin, if it bounces, it may take an awkward bounce and fool the goalkeeper, but he covered it really well. But you have to try and test the goalkeepers.
And that's what both teams have done tonight. Charlotte starting to get some rhythm offensively now. Zach Pfeffer, who was in the Philadelphia Union organization, was signed just a few weeks into this USL campaign, making his second start in as many weeks. Sends it away to Joel Johnson. Now Calvert. Caleb playing more out on the wings instead of being the central attacker like he's used to being. And Joel Johnson's pursuit leads to a deep throw.
Yeah, I like what the Independents are doing now, getting the ball spread out a little bit more, swinging it from one side of the field to the other side, keep the defenders shifting from one side to the other side.
And the ball ruled over the goal line, over the end line rather. And it's going to go over to Bethlehem Steel, one of the expansion teams. This is another expansion team that Charlotte is playing this year, the third such franchise that they have faced. They lost in the second game of the season to FC Cincinnati and also lost to Orlando City B, both of those on the road. Kalonji comes up the field. That's Burke who wins the ball. Corey Burke scored his first after a giveaway by Bilal Duckett. Far sideline, Misimo set to throw it in. Duckett with the takeaway. Now Joel Johnson has it stripped away by Jones. Derek will gather it in. Johnson with the challenge. Davidson chipped it away. Akiyande goes far post. This is Ryan Richter, the captain. And that's knocked away by Pfeffer into the Independence bench.
He just waited there for his bad touch. He took a bad touch and then knocked it away. Good patient defending there.
Good deep throw by Richter looking for Chambers. Lucchini with the chip in the box. Just over the head of Jones. Free at the goal mouth. Sent away by Acra. Herrera. Caleb Calvert can't get any momentum. That little hesitation right there, and that might be because of the pitch more than anything else, Patrick.
Yeah, the field is playing a big part as well in this game.
Acra goes down, and a foul called. That leads to some jostling as Paulu Akiyande was not quite as willing to give up the ball as he should have been, according to some of the Independence players. Burke to the far end after the takeaway by James Chambers. Chambers chipped it out. Goal kick Charlotte.
Slowly Charlotte is kind of gotten themselves back into the game. It took them a long time to get going, but then they're 1-0 down. In Bethlehem now a little bit more comfortable because they attacked, and then got the goal that they needed, and they now just sitting back, allowing Charlotte to get more possession. So Charlotte need to capitalize on that possession, but play a little bit quicker to break these lines down and get in behind them. As long as they play the ball in front of Bethlehem, Bethlehem is going to be fine. They're just going to hang out, watch them play, and wait for them to make a mistake, get the ball, and then play.
That has been the theme, but for Charlotte in their victories this year, Independence, however, going into that Toronto FC2 game, had struggled to score. Taking out the Charlotte Eagles game, they had only scored 3 goals in its previous 5 contests. Ekra to Brown. Caleb Calvert chips it forward. Pfeffer was onside, but the lead pass was just a tad bit far.
The idea was fantastic. Just a poor execution on the ball, but the idea was brilliant, and Pfeffer had made a fantastic one.
Charlotte doesn't always practice on this field during the week of training. They usually go to adjacent fields here at the Ramblewood Soccer Complex. They wanted to give this field a little bit of a break after an absolute downpour last Saturday night forced the Toronto FC2 game to be stopped. On the overlap, Richter with a cross in. Danger here. Save made by Berner. Burke was lined up, ready to make it 2-0.
Late arrival by Burke, but he had a good leap and going forward. Good header connection on it. It was a great cross as well. Keeper made a great save.
Bethlehem corner kick taken by
Derek
number
Jones there
45,
with the
James
chance, and Berner
Chambers.
had to make an excellent save. Jones was bidding for his third of the year. He leads the team in scoring. Now Chambers goes back post on the corner. Running that down is Trusty, stripped of it momentarily by Brown and out. Another deep throw. Bethlehem back in the Charlotte attacking third.
Going back to that header, if Burke had played that ball back across the goal, where the keeper was coming from, where the cross was coming from, it would have wrong-footed the goalkeeper. It was an easier save for the goalkeeper because it was near post.
That's right. But Jones had all sorts of things in mind there, looking for his third of the year.
Yeah.
Once again, Richter in a crossing situation goes short. Trusty will put it on net. And making sure it doesn't go through the wickets, Berner goes to his knees. Austin Trusty, as we told you, a young man who is playing on an amateur contract, but he's verbally committed to play at UNC. So this professional experience certainly will help him once he joins the ACC and the Tar Heels. ACC full of players that are all in the USL. We've seen several from Wake Forest play with Louisville City. Let's take a look at Berner here coming up big once again.
Yeah, so as you saw, he was already cheating towards that back post, but if that header had gone the other way, Berner was wrong-footed. So, but Burke had a lot more to think about. He had the two defenders. He was sandwiched between two defenders and trying to knock the ball down. It's a difficult technique, but he went up very well for it.
Fans, we want you here for all the action, so get
He had
ready.
Caleb Calvert and Joel Johnson in there with him, trying to defend him. Bethlehem Steel scoring off of Corey Burke, scoring his first of the year, as he intercepted a poor header, a simple back ball that Bilal Duckett was trying to send John Berner's way. Landed shy of Berner, who made a charge at the ball, and ultimately it turned into Burke scoring on an empty net. First American goal for the native of Jamaica. Plays in the Red Stripe Jamaican Premier League with Rivoli United, and is currently on loan. Independence came back from 2 down last week to tie Toronto FC2. Tonight, they'll have to come back from what stands to be 1 down, though it could be more, and it could have easily been more based on a couple of earlier opportunities. Bethlehem controlling the pace of play here. Samir Badir in his 5th professional season. He actually started playing professionally in Egypt. He went to Portugal at first, didn't really get much time there, then was loaned away to Egypt and eventually came to the United States.
What a route to come to the United States.
Yes. Wound up playing with a couple of different USL teams, including Oklahoma City Energy. Header put down by Richter, running over at Lucchini. Richter takes it back in his standard right flank position. Op to send it away. Goes on the line. Pfeffer with a nice challenge there. Tries to clear it up the near sideline. Down goes Brown at the hands of McDaly, and a foul called. Indeed, Samir Badir started with FC Porto in Portugal. As you'll see, this foul called here against McDaly. Returned to the United States 2 years ago with the Oklahoma City Energy. Last season, he played with Colorado Springs in USL. Oklahoma City's had a series of derbies, as a matter of fact. They won their U.S. Open Cup game against Heyo OKC. Here's Caleb Calvert. Badir coming out of net. Calvert goes down. Badir out of the net.
Looks like he caught his foot in the turf there.
Yep.
As he was trying to manipulate the ball past the goalkeeper.
And the ball immediately sent out of play by Badir as Caleb is still down. And you hate to see this, but you fear this may happen on a field in this poor condition.
And as Coach Mike, you don't want to be forced into an early substitution before you're ready for it.
Caleb got up and is trying to walk it off. Caleb In fact, they're going to take a heat break right now. The officials ordering this. When we started tonight, it was 91 degrees. Caleb looks a little bit confused as to what's going on, but it's just a water break now. This is mandated by the league, as we'll take a look at what happened to Caleb here. He was trying to get that first touch. Looks like his legs got caught up with Badir.
Right.
Yep. When we started the game tonight, it was 92 degrees here in Charlotte. And then you have to remember that this pitch is still sun-drenched, and include the humidity, and we're in the midst of one of those humid North Carolina summers. You're probably looking at about 105 degrees, something you're quite familiar with, Patrick.
Oh, I remember my first practice session here in Charlotte. I almost about died. Just my first run in the session.
And you grew up in Zimbabwe. Now, you didn't
Zimbabwe.
exactly grow up in a cold climate
No,
yourself.
no.
You're not in Norway or anything like that.
No, our weather is hot, but it's dry heat. The humidity, I just could not breathe. So I can feel for the players on the field right now
Yeah.
playing. It's tough to try and maintain your physical fitness or your physical condition in these conditions. So Charlotte may be better place for it than the Union, than the Steel, but we'll see as the game goes on.
It was downright chilly over in Bethlehem for their May 22nd game against Harrisburg City, which was a 3-1 loss. That game was played at Skyview Stadium, the home of the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs of the International Baseball League. I want to say hello to our listeners tonight from coast to coast and around the world. Got viewers here in Charlotte all the way to Dublin, California. We thank you all for tuning in to Charlotte Independence. Bethlehem Steel scoring. Corey Burke scored his first of the year to put the Steel ahead 1-0. Caleb Calvert will trot back to 100%, pursuing the ball against Trustee. And Aaron clears it out, leading to a Charlotte throw. Johnson to Herrera. Tried to play it back to Akra, who jumps up for it. Akiyande sends it deep down the field, looking for Burke. Running hard is Chambers to keep the pressure on. He'll corkscrew. And then we have a late foul called on Johnson. Chambers went down. Chambers is not shy about expressing his opinion. He already has 6 yellow cards and a red card this year in only 11 games of action. Free kick taken by Washington. Chambers takes it on the edge of the box. Washington will look for the cross, plays it in. Burke is there. They'll sail past him. Ryan Richter wins another ball. Pfeffer marking. Up top, Lucchini stripped away by Slogic and out. Patrick has not had very many calls tonight. Independence had one shot on net from Jorge Herrera, and that's about it. They struggled to get balls on net, trying to pressure Samir Badir. And a Bethlehem FC team that has given up early goals at times this year, which has been their undoing. But tonight at Charlotte is having to climb uphill.
And the key for this game, or the key for Bethlehem again, is Derek Jones and Bolu Akinyo. They just sitting in front of the 2 center backs. They're screening the 2 center backs. So Charlotte is having to drop deeper to get possession. But then when they do that, then they have no height, or they have no one else making runs in behind the defenders, so stretching them, so to speak.
Derek Jones strips Jan Ekra away. Chambers will retaliate. Misimo to the far end. Johnson had that ball go off the corner flag and remains in play. That actually happened on that exact same flag last week against Toronto FC too.
The flag could be a 12th player on the field.
It was beneficial for Toronto last week. It helped out Charlotte in that instance, albeit only briefly.
I think coaches should try and do a session where they do given goals with the corner flag. That definitely helped Joe on that.
Herrera bumped from behind by Mick Daly, and the foul.
There's going to be a lot of contact in this game. Independents have to get used to it.
Charlotte is tied for 5th Take a look at this bounce. Johnson chasing the loose ball. Looked like it was going to lead to yet another corner. Instead,
Yeah, if I were Jones, I would just say, hey, listen, I meant to do it.
and he rebounded and picked it off the turf like he did.
That's right. Make it look good.
Charlotte circling the wagons here with Duckett playing it ahead. Joel Johnson
Yeah, the more you switch the ball side to side, it creates
goes in the box here looking for Pfeffer far post. Badir there to take it back.
it creates confusion because it stretches the team, the opposition. They have to shift as a team, and if they don't shift quick enough, then gaps start appearing. If they shift quick enough, and there's that ball to the back post, which the Independent just tried, is on as well. So it's good to see them trying to attempt this as much as possible, but they need to do it quicker and more.
Akiyande hit on the foul against Slogic, and now
It's still on the
Burke
ground.
is still down. It was actually Burke who collided with Slogic there, and Burke still lying on the turf. Henry Kalungi, I don't think, sees him. Momentarily, though, it's 11 on 10. Burke's unable to get up. He's got his shoe off.
Even if he sees it, he's not obligated to stop.
That's true.
They want to get a go back. They know they're looking at the clock, thinking if we get to halftime, at least a goal each, we'll be fine.
Brown put it on net. Badir fielded that without any trouble. And now it goes out of play. Actually came close. It hit the trash can of the Charlotte bench. That was interesting where that ball wound up going, because I don't think Badir was happy that Charlotte didn't send the ball out immediately. And the man who scored the goal, Corey Burke, laboring on the turf, took his own shoe off. He wound up colliding with Slogic a moment ago on that foul. And clearly, while Slogic got up from that, Burke was the one hit with the foul, but he's still hampered.
Yeah, I wonder if
Ryan Brown, our director, has set up a replay here, as we'll have some time added on to the first half because of this. Looked like a
just
meshing of ankles there.
Yeah, just twisted. I think he landed on top of Slogic's foot, and that ankle, maybe Roddy's ankle as a result of that.
Patrick had a quick restart, and Burke will limp off the field. Well, on the 18 that we had handed to us tonight from head coach Brandon Burke of Bethlehem Steel FC, there are a number of forwards available in reserve if Burke can't continue. Corey in his third professional season, and Charlotte will concede possession once again. It's interesting, Brandon Burke was looking over at the Charlotte bench right after that ball went out of play. I'm not sure if there was some animosity there or not.
Maybe something was said, yes.
Well, maybe there was some animosity. We've grown used to that, though, over the last few weeks in Open Cup games and elsewhere.
It's a competitive game. Things will get said. You just have to grow thicker skin as a player. Can't react to everything that you hear.
Caleb Calvert gives chase to the far end, and he and Taylor Washington tie up, and they exchange words. Chambers puts it forward. Lucchini tries a through ball, nullified by Kalungi. Burke's about to step back onto the field here. It's 11 on 10 for now. Long ball, Brown couldn't handle it. Daly sent it away. Richter swipes through. And over comes 35 Derek Jones, the 6'3" forward, and the 19-year-old rookie puts it forward. And chances are, if Bethlehem had 11 men on the field, that would have been a dangerous ball, but they only had 10, and Burke now is just getting out there.
Yeah, I think he just ran out of ideas there, trying to figure out where to play the ball. Instead, just decided to dig the ball forward a little bit. He was hoping for a run, but there was no run.
Good challenge that time by Jones. Leads to a takeaway. Chambers, Lucchini, and a foul called. Joel Johnson was the man hit. As we come up on the 45-minute mark, we'll probably have a couple of minutes of added time, considering we had one goal and a couple of injuries. That's why they call it injury time after all. Kalungi and Duckett can't handle a bad bounce. And then Burt tried to take advantage of it, but he is still hampered by that right ankle. He's still limping. And if it wasn't for that, it could be 2-0 once again because of another backline foul up by Independence.
Yeah, 2 bad bounces.
Chambers pursues Duckett, sends it away. 2 minutes of added time coming up. Here at the tail end of the first half, one in which Bethlehem Steel scored first here,
A minimum of 2 minutes.
which has been a rarity for this team at times this year. Long ball put forward by Calvert.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Calvert, what he was thinking about there. Maybe he was looking at Patrick Slojic, but that ball was just a little too hopeful, too easy for the goalkeeper.
Last Saturday, we saw Mike Jeffries insert 3 players into the game. Now, granted, that was a different instance. After a lethargic first half, Charlotte was still coming off a very grueling game against the Carolina Railhawks. Kalungi bodies up against Lucchini, wins the ball away to Davidson. But Charlotte had instant offense the second Jan Ekra, Brian Brown, and Chris Hellman checked into the game as Richter goes down, and we're going to have a foul called. And you wonder if we'll have a similar situation here tonight, Patrick, and Mike Jeffries will have to try to insert some substitutes here at the very beginning of the second half to inject some life.
I think he may, but again, looking at the weather, the heat, he may want to maybe in drips, maybe one at a time, because if he does it all at the same time and the game progresses and people start getting cramps and all that, then it becomes an issue later on in the game. So I would assume that he will be making some changes early on into the second half for fresh legs, but maybe one at a time.
One at a time. Do it steadily as opposed to try to get it all back at once. Well, once those 3 checked in last week, Charlotte wasted no time in scoring. A moment ago, Berner wound up taking a free ball that resulted in Burt giving a little bit of a bump to Berner. Ball's put ahead, Misimo. And then Jones leads to the first half whistle. And another disappointing first half for the second straight week for Charlotte Independence. Bethlehem Steel winds up scoring first off a defensive error, another back line error, and unfortunately that's becoming a bit of a pattern for Independence as a ball hit by Duckett intended for Berner wasn't hard enough, and it was cashed in for a goal by Corey Burke. And once again, Independence, for the 3rd straight game, gives up the initial goal, and they trail at the half 1-0, and not much you can say all that great about Independence in that 45 minutes.
No, not really. Even Bethlehem still had their best opportunities and their best run of plays in the first 10 minutes of the game. Other than that, the game fizzled down to just sporadic plays. But those first 10 minutes were key for Bethlehem getting the goal, because they forced Charlotte into a mistake and error that ended up with Burke scoring. But now I think going into the second half, Bethlehem is just going to sit and they will invite Charlotte to come and attack them. Charlotte has to stretch Bethlehem a little bit. They have to be willing to run in behind their defenders, get in behind defenders. So everything they're playing right now to feed is great, but then they need to be something else, something a little bit extra in the final third. And that's what Charlotte is missing right now, that little bit of creativity in the final third.
Absolutely. They're lacking speed right now, and Independence will have to find answers in the second half here on a humid night in the Queen City as we go to intermission. It is Bethlehem Steel FC 1, Charlotte 0. Stay with us. We'll have more on YouTube.
Reply me, I don't wanna spend time fighting. We got no
Fans, halftime is a perfect time to check out the merchandise tent located near the front gate to purchase your official Independence team gear. Tonight, in honor of $5 Friday, we have a special selection of discounted t-shirts. So check out the merchandise tent located near the front gate for your official Independence team gear. And as always, fans, be sure to keep up to date with the USL all season long by visiting the new USLsoccer.com. There you're going to find everything you need to know about the USL in all of its 29 teams. That's USLsoccer.com.
A man walks down the street and says, why am I soft in the middle? Why am I soft in the middle? The rest of my life is so hard. I need a photo opportunity. I want a shot redemption. Don't want to end up a cartoon graveyard. Bones and dogs in the night. Far away, I will live with you. Just to be
Okay. Jeff Hamlin, Patrick Daka, and our director Ryan Brown here with you tonight, along with the host of cameramen that handle our production of Charlotte Independent Soccer throughout the season. And on a humid night here at the Ramblewood Soccer Complex, Charlotte was flat in the first 45 minutes of tonight's game. Bethlehem Steel FC leading Independence 1-0. You take a look at the shots, and one Jorge Herrera shot on net has become a pattern for Independence. Charlotte outshot 5-2, and Bethlehem Steel had 4 of those 5 corners, Patrick, in the first 10 minutes of play, and that was pretty much how the early portion of this game went. It was Bethlehem Steel taking the momentum right off the bat. We'll take a look at the highlights from the first half here. This in the opening minutes. As you take a look at Jamie Lucchini here, a shot was blocked, and on the rebound, Lucchini just sent it into Jack's Militia, seated in the south end zone. Here was the goal. It was Bilal Duckett with a sloppy header. John Berner had no choice but to come out of net, but Corey Burke wound up getting the ball, and though he took his time, he had the right angle, had time to measure it, and Patrick, he put it in. And it was good that he wound up taking his time for Bethlehem Steel, because otherwise this could have led to a great block by Duckett.
Correct. And I don't know what Duckett was thinking. The distance between him and the goalkeeper was just too big for a header to be effective. Maybe throw the ball down and play.
Just after that, Derek Jones had a run from 4 players and sent that one just a little bit wide of the crossbar. Jorge Herrera, after a foul, this was a header that was intended to be set forth by Caleb Calvert, slapped away by Samir Badir, and then Herrera setting up once again an attempt by Caleb Calvert. He got some contact on it, but it was only a parting shot at best. And that was the only shot on net for Independence in that first half of play. Jorge Herrera providing it, the veteran. It was Samir Badir who came up with the save. This was the save of the night. This could be the Wells Fargo save of the game here for Charlotte Independence. Soaring through the air, Derek Jones, after a cross by Ryan Richter, John Berner made a fine save. Though, if Jones had put that back a little bit, it could have led to some big danger, as you mentioned, Patrick.
Yes. You always teach your players, head the ball back where it's coming from across the goal mouth, or head it down. Let it hit the turf. It's a difficult header to deal with for goalkeepers. Goalkeepers don't like headers.
I can tell you
They're
that.
very unpredictable.
For our game recap brought to you by Wells Fargo, that was put together by Ryan Brown, our team here tonight at Ramblewood Soccer Complex, and the two teams coming back here. And a lot of the first half talk online and throughout the press box here, Patrick, is the field that some folks said that you brought up the dry heat. We don't have dry heat here in North Carolina, but it looks like that perhaps we're playing in an Arizona desert someplace the way things look out there. Unfortunately, the players have to deal with that. I grew up hearing stories about Cuban baseball players becoming good fielders because they learned to play on horrible fields and learned how to handle bad hops that way. And right now, Charlotte looks like they haven't played at home because this turf was in much better shape in March and April than it is now.
Yeah, I go back home to Zimbabwe once in a while and I play street soccer with the kids down there, and they're fantastic with their technique. But if
And
you
don't
look at the
forget about
field,
the food trucks
I
on
cannot
site
handle
tonight.
the field
Taco
anymore. I
King,
grew up on
Bose
those
Barbecue,
fields.
Bob's Broth,
But
and King of
right now I
Pop.
cannot. I'm
And
so spoiled to
beverages
play,
provided to
playing
you by
on
Old
nice
Miltonburg
turf and
Brewery,
stuff.
No Doubt
But they
Brewing,
are
Birdsong
able to
Brewing,
play
and
on it.
Coca-Cola.
So this should be an
Check
advantage
them out during
for
the
the
second half with
independents
snacks and
on this field. But
refreshments.
the
Don't
heat
forget the beverage stands, Bob's
weather
Brats and Taco King.
is-
They are cash only.
should work for the independents. I
But
don't know
worry,
how
these fields
long or how
located
much
on
they
either
still are
side
going
of the
to
east
be able to
stand.
hold on.
We'll
Fans,
see
if
who'll
you
start
haven't
this
noticed
half
yet, in
here.
honor of
Fans want to
$5
remind you that
beers
on
are
Wednesday,
$5.
July 13th, for the first time in Charlotte Independence history, a team from the Premier League will come to the Queen City. Swansea City will come play Charlotte Independence here in a friendly on July the 13th, a Wednesday night. We encourage you to get your tickets as quickly as you can.
That's a big game.
It is a big game. It's going to be such an honor bringing in the team from the greatest league in the world. Some can talk about La Liga. You can talk about Bundesliga, of course, and various other leagues in Europe. But let's face it, it's the Premier League that gathers a lot of attention around these parts. I haven't met one Real Madrid fan, but I can reel off 10 Arsenal fans off the top of my head, including the man to my right here. And it's such an honor to have Swansea City coming here. Tickets are already going quickly. And go to charlotteindependence.com to get your tickets right now because they will not last very much longer.
And for any kid that wants to watch brilliant soccer, any kid that plays right now, and coaches are talking about possession, Swansea is the team to look at.
Absolutely.
Team to watch. They're an exciting team to watch.
It's always very kind of teams from Europe to come play here during the summertime in America, to play USL teams and MLS teams. Of course, we're used to seeing them play uptown at Bank of America Stadium as we get underway with the second half and the International Champions Cup. And now we'll have one right here at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. And once again, Bethlehem Steel wasting no time in getting the ball, and they are attacking third in the opening minutes here of the second half, already leading 1-0 off the goal by Corey Berg. No substitutions made by Independence to start the second half. So Mike Jeffries, as you alluded to, Patrick, if he's going to make substitutions, he'll do it here and there, not 3 at a time like we saw last week against the Junior Reds.
Yeah, he might be looking ahead at as the game goes on, players are going to start getting tired and legs are going to start looking weary.
Austin Trusty wins that 50-50 ball off an interception attempt. Now Burke comes in and the flag is up. Flag is up for an offside.
He was offside.
Burke had beaten the pursuit.
And he's moving very uncomfortably a little bit there, Burke, if you see him. He's favoring his right foot a little bit more. I think that's the ankle he had.
That's right.
In the first half.
He injured in the collision with Patrick Slogic. Caleb Calvert sends away Joel Johnson. Can't get it across to Herrera. Sent out. Fans, don't forget, curated craft beer delivery to your doorstep is just a click away. Visit brewpublic.com to learn more and sign up. Brew Public Ding Dong Beer. Love that, reader. Quick restart off the foul on Brown. Here's Accra playing to the right. Pfeffer! And the save is made by Badir. And Zach Pfeffer came close to cashing in for the first time this season.
Great awareness there by Charlotte to play that ball quickly before Steele got organized behind the ball. Created that opportunity for them to take a shot. So first 3 minutes, Charlotte has a shot on target.
And now a long lead ball. Pfeffer, though, offside. Flag was up immediately as Jorge wanted to play a quick through ball as quickly as he could. Take a look at the previous attempt here by Pfeffer. This was set up well once again by Jan Ekra. Off the right foot there.
That shot went straight at the goalkeeper, a little bit more to the side. That may have caused a little bit more problems. But then again, I think Charlotte probably were listening to us at halftime because they're trying to play those balls through, people running in behind the Steel defenders. We were talking about the Steel are just going to sit back.
Right.
And drop off when the long balls come in. So Charlotte needs to stretch them a little bit more and start running in behind the defenders.
Speaking of which, Jorge Herrera challenges Trusty, who wins the 50-50. Caleb Calvert comes up with the interception. Brian Brown, he'll pivot. Slogic, the attacking left back, away. Brown down the left end trying to set up a cross. That was nullified by Akiyande. Away it goes to Jones. And Jones goes down holding his head. Foul called on Jan Ekra. Perhaps Jan got a hand up there.
Maybe got poked in the face a little.
No, he's holding his mouth. Jones, though, will get up. And Bethlehem Steel going for its first win in nearly a month. Their last win was on May 15th. Charlotte has gone over a month in USL play without a win. Their last official victory came against the Charlotte Eagles in the opening round of the U.S. Open Cup.
And how'd you like to sharpen your
That was a
soccer
few
skills
days
with the
after
only
their
pro
win
soccer
over
player in Charlotte?
FC
You're
Montreal.
going to want to register for personal training sessions with Charlotte Independence
It was
players.
a week later, in fact,
Or
roughly the
attend
same
one of
time
our
that
camps.
Bethlehem defeated
For more
FCM.
information, Check out Charlotte Independence.
Ever since then, it's been dry. There was a point in time when Charlotte was actually the top-ranked team in the USL Power Rankings. Now they're out of the top 10. Lead ball ahead. Chambers will run up for it, trying to challenge Duckett. Bilal disrupted that. Johnson swipes in. Ju Marcus Davidson. As the heat dies down here tonight, nightfall descending in Charlotte. Independence trying to pick things up, down 1-0. Johnson trails in. Herrera will try to keep it over the inline. He does. Calvert to the far end of the box. Slogic trailing him. Caleb will take it in the 18, put it across, and it's just headed wide. Joel Johnson searching for his first of the year.
Great work by Caleb. Cross it, comes in, and Johnson comes flying and just goes under the ball a little bit. There he is again. Good fit by Caleb. Looks up, whips a cross in.
Oh. Two very good attempts early on for Charlotte in the opening 5 minutes. A promising start, but can they equalize?
It's promising in the fact that that's your right back running into the box at the end of the cross. So you need more people inside the box for that.
The through ball attempt by Herrera was cut off by Austin Trusty. Now one touch by Chambers leads to Jones giving it away. John Berner searching for his first win this year. His counterpart searching for his first win in net this year, Samir Badir. He is 0-1-1, making his third start of the season tonight. Kalungi to his backline mate Patrick Slogic. Independence looking to even things up here tonight at home. Herrera down the right sideline. Pfeffer is onside. Into the 18. Johnson trails from behind. Zach never could muster much of anything there. Excellent marking by McDaly.
Just a little confusion there between the two, Pfeffer and Johnson. I think Pfeffer was cutting inside, waiting for Johnson to make a run outside. Johnson made a run inside instead. And then you saw that making a run, the defender covered that option, and then that was gone.
Yep.
Johnson continues making his run outside. It draws defenders out and opens up options. I think Johnson right there probably could have made a different decision.
Looked like he was drafting Zach Pfeffer as opposed to trailing out to the right.
Yeah.
His header, Duckett, runs up on it. Burke will take it at the edge of the box. Ekra swipes away to take it back for Independence.
But promising signs right now from the beginning of the game for the Independence. They're getting in behind the Steel defense. The Steel defense, I think the heat, the humidity we were talking about is starting to take its toll.
Taylor Washington was the one who squared up a moment ago and nullified any attempt by Pfeffer to even the game. Coming back the other way, Burke challenging Duckett, and it goes over the inline.
Yeah, Burke's still running with a limp right now. I'm not sure how long he's going to stay on the field.
Well, there are several different options for the head coach, Brendan Burke.
One person at a time.
Bethlehem Steel has one road win this year, and that was actually the first game in franchise history. They won at Stadio Saputo over FC Montreal. They've already taken 2 against FCM. They won their very first game in franchise history on March 25th, 1-0. Jones heads it forward. Chambers tries to play it up. Lucchini will put pressure on Slogic. Jamie wins the ball, but the cross went nowhere.
Yeah, that was a tired effort. I don't think he wanted to do anything after that run. It's a big run in the heat. Just a hopeful cross and no one else running into the box for it.
Fans, Coca-Cola is the official soft drink of Charlotte Independence. Coca-Cola. Experience the world of awe. 1-0, still the score. Charlotte was outplayed in the first half of this one. Bethlehem Steel outshot them 5-2. They had 2 shots on net, did the Steel. Charlotte only had 1. Bethlehem Steel also with 5 corner kicks to Charlotte's 1. Kalungi tries to beat Burke to the ball, does so, and will not concede the corner. Clears it 60 yards up the field. That's where McDaly is there to intercept it. And it leads to another Charlotte throw. Fans, Nike Soccer is the official sponsor of USL. Proud to be a sponsor. Look them up on Twitter at Nike Soccer. That is at Nike Soccer, or go to nike.com/soccer, just as you see on the screen. 1-0. It was Corey Burke in the 11th minute that put Bethlehem Steel ahead on an errant play, an errant pass, back pass attempt by Ball Duckett. Now set up, and Burner winds up handling that one. Hard ball put down by Jamie Chambers.
That was a good counterattack. Great strike, but straight at the goalkeeper.
Burner makes his third save of the night. Herrera back. June Marcus Davidson. Caleb Calvert will have room. Let that one bounce. Wanted to test the turf, you get the feeling, instead of chesting that one down. To the right, Jan Ekra plays it for Joel Johnson. Good first touch there. Charlotte trying to get something brewing. A give and go. Johnson in the 6. Sent away. Herrera under it. Cleared out, but not that far. And the man who was bodied up against Herrera is still down. Pfeffer now comes on net. He'll fire. Oof.
And again, we talked about this earlier. They can talk about sportsmanship, but they are not obligated to put the ball out.
That's right.
They still have to play. The Steel team still has to play.
That's right.
Right.
Let's take a look here. It was Jorge Herrera battling for a 50-50 ball with Taylor Washington. This is where Washington wound up getting hurt.
Yeah, I think his knee gave in right there on the landing, just bad landing.
And once again, Brandon Burke came out of his coach's box as a goal kick is coming up after the shot by Pfeffer. And he was looking over at Mike Jeffries, and he was asking the fourth official something. Appeared to be a little bit, at least, questioning why the ball wasn't put out of play, but Charlotte was in the attacking third.
Correct. And Charlotte is chasing the game right now. So if they have an opportunity to score, they're going to try and score. You would want good sportsmanship and knock the ball out, but they can also understand the situation they are in right now, the position they are in. If they get a good situation where they can score, they're going to try and score a goal.
It's vital that Charlotte gets something out of this homestand. Good overlap by Johnson here running down the sideline. Washington has to take it out of play. Charlotte felt like, as we said earlier, they gave away 2 points in that tie against Toronto FC 2. And right now, Bethlehem Steel really out of the playoff picture. Certainly, they would take a big step forward getting 3 points here tonight. But Charlotte has a 3-game homestand where they're playing 3 teams that have struggled coming into games against Independence. Last week, they tied Toronto. They're trailing now, and next week they play Richmond. Richmond was swept by the 2 Canadian teams, becoming the first team to lose to FC Montreal this year. Good long lead pass. Chambers back the other way. Looks to switch feet, does so, knocked away. Chambers at the top. Plays it to right. This is Misamo. And the shot was blocked very nicely by both Joel Johnson. Joel stood his ground as Jamie Lucchini came up the far sideline and provided a counter there, something the Bethlehem Steel has been needing for quite some time.
Now Bethlehem is taking their time to restart the game.
It's going to be a lot of gamesmanship, you get the feeling, down the stretch of this one.
Definitely.
Calvert tries to take away the loose ball. Jones dislodged him momentarily. Pfeffer plays it up. Herrera right on the boundary, goes down, ruling that Herrera touched it last. Well, Trusty slammed the ball down, but the assistant signaled it was Bethlehem ball. I'm not sure why Trusty was upset.
I think they had told him to move back, to move the ball back.
On the loose ball, Misimo running forward. Pfeffer sends it closer to the end line. Burke tries to save it, and it leads to another corner. This will be the 6th of the night. Bethlehem Steel had 4 corners in the first 9 minutes of this game. They were putting pressure on
Bethlehem
early.
corner kick taken by number 45,
And James Chambers will come out now once again and try to swing this one in play. The big bodies line up. Jones is in there along with Misimo, Burke. Slogic tries to play it out. Trusty can't play it on the field. Takes an odd hop. Brian Brown in the open field. Tripped up, no whistle. Trusty keeps play going. Trusty tried to put it forward for Burke. Jones winds up with it. Dislodged by Ekra. This is Lucchini. Slogic got out of the 18 momentarily. Now Misimo forces Berner to come out. He'll tuck it away to safety.
Good job by the goalkeeper coming out, reading that first touch. It was too big, too long. Comes out and cleans up.
Enzo Martinez will check in. He'll be the first reserve to enter the game in just a moment at the next dead ball.
Yeah, you get the feeling or the sense that Independence needs someone like Enzo on the field right now. A little bit more creativity in the final third. Make things happen.
Enzo's brother Alex still training with the team, watching the game from the stands.
Alex must be boiling inside. I think he wants to play. Any player that's injured wants to play. But Alex, it's been a tough 2 seasons for him with the visa and then the injury.
He missed the last half of last season. Burke with the steal. Jones in the box. Lucchini tries to send it to him. Here's the cleanup opportunity, and it's wide. All just a mishit there by Misimo. And again, the turf coming back to haunt him, because if that's a clean bounce his way, he would have had a better chance at putting that one in.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's going to get any easier chance than that during the nights tonight.
Missed a wide open frame.
Yeah, and if the Independents end up scoring, that chance right there will haunt him for a long time. The trip back home might be too long.
Another opportunity here. Misimo really had a chance off the bounce. Duck it.
Zach Pfeffer.
He went for power instead of finesse.
Yep.
And he had absolutely nobody around him.
Enzo Martinez is in. Zach Pfeffer takes the seat. That's the first of 5 substitutions that Charlotte has allotted. Johnson puts it close to the net, diving out for it. Badir just managed to head off Brian Brown, who was running headlong toward the frame.
After smoking a cigar in the first half, now Badir is like working really hard. He's now the busiest of the 2 goalkeepers.
Smoking a cigar, that's a great one. I'm going to have to steal that one there. You don't have that copyrighted, do you?
Might have to patent it.
Ekra goes down, foul called, much to the dismay of Bolu Akiande. 1-0. It was Corey Burke who scored the opener. Flipping the field, Slogic couldn't bring that one in. First ball of the night, sent forward by Enzo Martinez. Now Lucchini brings it back ahead. Burke playing for Chambers, intercepted, Duckett.
It's a little bit more agency in the Independence play. But again, they still have numbers behind the ball. Every time the Independents are trying to attack, they still have numbers behind the ball. So Independence needs to bring more people in the attack, build up their attack a little bit more with patience, quick ball movement, but a little bit more patient, trying to get runners in behind the defenders.
Taylor Washington plays it back to give you an indication of what this winless streak has done to Independence as the ball crossed in to nowhere. Charlotte, going into that FC Montreal game, was playing for first place in the Eastern Conference. Since then, they've fallen into a tie for 5th with Rochester in the East. Keep in mind, the top 8 teams in the Eastern Conference make the playoffs. So Charlotte has gone from a chance to be playing potentially for a regular season championship in the USL to make the playoffs. Nice play by Johnson. Martinez crosses over to the left, plays it forward, chipped out. Nicely done. Here's Martinez trying to factor back in, but it's cleared out by McDaly. Touched by Burke. Kalungi won't leave it alone. Here's Davidson fighting ahead. Enzo, just as we anticipated, Patrick, he's turning up the heat here tonight.
Yeah, he is. He's tried his trickery inside the box there. He tried to play the ball across. Maybe, I don't know, if nobody is in there, why not take a shot? And then people go for a rebound. It was a tough angle, though, for him, I know. But But if nobody's making a run, maybe sometimes it's okay to try.
Here's Martinez playing it to the right. Brown, hard first touch, maintains possession. Akra, with dust kicking up around him, swiping in to steal it, is the captain, Ryan Richter. He'll launch a counter with a 3-on-3 back the other way. Chambers and Burke joining in on the attack. Rest of the bodies for Bethlehem Steel just laying back. And indeed, Jan Akra intercepts the pass. Don't get a feeling that Bethlehem Steel was all that interested in scoring there. They're just trying to shut down attacks when they can and write out a 1-0 lead. Enzo, though, has other thoughts. Martinez to the right will fire.
That take a deflection.
And that will lead to corner number 2 of the night for Independence.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, Samir, he's busy. He's talking to his defenders. He's yelling at his defenders more than he was doing in the
Independence
first
corner
half. He has
kick
to
taken by
organize a
number
little bit
10,
more.
Jorge
Trusty was the one
Herrera.
who got a piece of that. Almost went off his hand, it appeared, though it was tucked into his body. So Jorge will have Brown in the box. Patrick Slogic in his 6'6" frame will be in there as well.
Big fella.
The mosh pit starts. Ball headed out. That one sailed a little bit on Jorge, and Kalungi was the only one who could tip it.
Don't forget,
Independence will keep
USL
possession with
matches
Ekra.
available to you live, free, and
Opting to
NBC
flop the
on
field.
YouTube.
Herrera back in the 18, kicks it forward and kicked out.
Follow all the action on the USL YouTube channel.
Back the other way, Corey Burke, the man who scored the goal, tripped up by Ekra and a foul. The referee, Rubio Vasquez, will give a lecture and get the feeling he just told Jan, that's your 3rd foul tonight. Let's not have any more or else you'll go in the book.
And that foul was really unnecessary because he wasn't a threat. There wasn't much going on in front of him. Could have just delayed him.
Charlotte, with a loss here, will stay at 18 points, and Richmond will have an opportunity to surpass them in the standings, which would have been almost unfathomable just a few weeks ago after Charlotte won against Richmond here in a game where Jorge Herrera wound up scoring moments after Matthew Delacotte evened the game in the 89th minute. Ball chipped in, and it'll go over the end line. Corner number 7 of the night coming up for Steele. Richmond wound up losing that one.
Bethlehem corner kick.
They
taken by
dropped 2
number
games, as we
45,
mentioned,
James
to Montreal
Chambers.
and to Toronto, but they've rebounded now to a 4-4-4 mark, and with a win this weekend, they'll surpass Charlotte in the standings, and really Charlotte will go from perhaps playing for a top spot in the East to now playing for one of the playoff spots in the final half of the season. Chambers with the corner. It's an outswinger going up for it. Richter got a head on it, but Berner brought it down. Looked like that Burke also got a piece of that. But John Berner comes through. And as we enter the final 20 minutes of this game, Duckett taken down hard. And the Charlotte bench is furious. Let's see what this leads to. Burke is only going to get a yellow. The Charlotte bench rose as one the moment Duckett went down. Mike Jeffries is talking to the 4th official here, and he's upset
Yellow card issued against the Bethlehem Steel.
that there's not going to be a straight red given there, and Bucket is still down.
Yellow card against the Steel.
Mike Jeffries and the assistant coach,
67th minute of 41 Burke.
Troy Lascens, comes over. And the Jacks very upset over it as well. We'll take a look at this. Bilal, as you can see, is up. Well, I don't know what the purpose of this was at all here. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
He got clipped.
That foul, first of all, was unnecessary in the position of the field, and then tackling from behind. That, to me, is dangerous play. That is just reckless play. For me, that's a red card. I could be wrong, but...
Well, it comes down to what a judge or what referee wants here. Brown goes back the other way, tripped up in the box by Chambers, no call. Sends it away. Lucchini, Chambers.
Going back to that foul, that could easily end someone's career.
Bilal fortunate that he got up from that okay.
Because he lunged, he got off the turf a little bit for him, and Bilal didn't even know he was coming.
And we have our first Bethlehem substitute coming in. It'll be Josh Hurd momentarily. First of all, Herrera chips it in the box. Brian Brown, the intended receiver, knocked away. Martinez will keep it alive. Enzo in a 1v1. Puts it on net. Oh, it just whistled across the 6 wide.
And with the introduction of Enzo goes into the number 10 row, or it goes wide on the right side, and all of a sudden things start happening.
Looked like it was deflected away. Once again, Trusty just got a piece of it. Charlotte lining up some reserves as well, but first Jorge Herrera has the third Charlotte corner of the night. Slogic has it headed away. Picked up, and it just goes wide. Brian Brown had a chance at it, but it goes over the end line to the left. And now, here's the replay of Enzo's opportunity. Let's see who got a piece of it here.
Bethlehem substitution.
Oh, it was deflected in Brown, and then Washington touched it last.
Yeah, Brown just got a little piece of it there, just a little bit more contact on the ball. That ball goes into the net.
Not exactly setting any records going off the field is Corey Burke.
And Bilal is still having his conference with the referee. Now he's going to get a yellow card for his troubles.
Oh, Bilal just now is upset. Let's take a look at, well, Bilal's really upset. You can't blame him. Take a look at how his head snapped here. Ryan Brown pointing that, oh my heavens.
Yeah.
That looked
That to me is a red card.
very dangerous. And Bilal winds up getting rung with a yellow card for dissent. That's his third yellow of the year. Burke leaves the game with a goal and a yellow. It's the first time he's been in the book all year. And his goal is still enough to keep the Steel in the lead. Here's Acra going wide to the right. Jorge tried to shuffle it across. Washington dislodged it. Johnson sent out by Washington for a long throw.
Now Independence playing with a little bit more agency now in the attack. Getting a little exciting.
Here's Brown trying to keep it in, working on Trusty. Johnson in a cross situation, the right back. Calvert heads it forward. Herrera headed away. Washington lands at his feet. He'll have time to clear and does so. Misimo, Chambers. Ball was deflected. Comes away to Lichini. Now Richter will join in. And Bethlehem Steel for the first time in about 10 minutes sending bodies up the field. But that cross by Richter led to nothing.
Yeah, we can show it again.
Let's take a look here. You see Bilal still holding his back here. And
There's the foul again. It lunges off the turf and see his ankles snap back and his neck. For me, there's absolutely no question he put his opponent in danger.
yeah.
But that's a straight red card. That boy got lucky.
Well, Burke will stay in next week, and with a charge, Lucchini to the right. Oh, Burner nullifies. Oh, it's Misimo, excuse me.
Yeah, and I think Bilal is still struggling with that,
Yeah.
on that ankle. He's not moving very well.
Well, you notice now that after that tackle, Bethlehem has been much more forceful with its offensive approach, whereas before they were keeping 8-9 guys behind the ball at all times. Herrera cross to the far end. Caleb Calvert goes for the ball. Goes over the back of Richter. It's cleared out to midfield. Slogic will take it in. Down goes Chambers. That's without a call. Tempers are rising here tonight. Herrera brings one in on net. Richter will head it out, and he'll concede a corner.
Yeah, June is a little disappointed with that. Headed across, he had time to look up, take a touch, and save a better ball in. But I see what he was trying to do, playing a quick ball in, but it was too deep.
It looked like for a moment Brian Brown was going to take a rare corner, but now the standard man who goes in these situations, Jorge Herrera, Chris Hellman will come in. Now Brown running toward the ball, puts it on net. It was blocked. Was that a handball? No.
Oh, he's clutching his stomach. Let's see that again. There was no time for him to move out of the way for that shot as well. So I can see why the ref won't give a PK. But it might be worth a shout.
Well, Misimo was the one in question. Now Enzo Martinez comes over. Slogic heads it just on the roof of the net. Patrick tried to put it down and send it over the crossbar. And with that, Chris Hellman will check in. We'll see who comes out. Looks like Duckett has taken off his captain strap, and he'll be the one going out. This is the first time all year that Bilal Duckett has gone out of a game in USL action.
And it all goes back to that tackle.
So for the first time this year, Bilal Duckett will sit and watch action from the bench. He even played against the Charlotte Eagles. He has played in every game.
That's a tactical move as well by Coach Mike, because now they're playing with 3 in the back. So it's not a like-for-like substitution, because they realize that they still are not pouring forward as much as they were in the first half. So that's a forward, an attacking player for a defender.
A win by Herrera sends the ball up the field momentarily. Taken back, though. Far in, Akiyande. This is Richter charging to the right. The right back gives it away. Jew Marcus Davidson. Enzo Martinez has 3 men ahead. Enzo running forward. Enzo shifting gears. A chip by Calvert. He was looking in for Herrera, knocked out by Badir. Independence maintains possession with Slogic knocking it back. Martinez once again the 10-man. Good chip forward. Slogic forward. Didn't have the angle, and the shot was deflected right to Badir.
And Enzo is upset there with Patrick Slogic for that service, but big fellow made a great run forward. Legs might be saying.
Well, part of the problem is that among the worst spots on the field where the pitch gets the most dusty are the respective 8 teams, the boxes on both sides, and that's led to some crazy bounces. In a way, that might have been what caused the goal, although it's not to excuse what Bilal had there on that header back to Burner. It was a poor service to begin with, and the ground didn't really help it. Martinez, nice it through. Good spot ahead. Caleb Calvert. Berdier comes out to save it. Marcus Davidson jostling up for it with Jones. Then Herrera throws his body in, literally, and is fouled.
What a save by the goalkeeper.
Oh.
Great run by Caleb and a great ball as well through.
And Badir is down. Jones is down.
Body's on the floor. That was a brave save by the goalkeeper. Brave.
Take a look at it again. Martinez once again setting up things very well, and Chris Hellman sent a great ball in here. Caleb Calvert, oh, what a save by Badir.
Yeah, I think it's cleats to the knee right there. Yeah, he's showing it. Cleats to his knee.
And then Jones went down as well. Going to have substitutions now. Going to have Raheem Taylor Parks check in for Bethlehem. Looks like Jet Metcalf is going to come in for Independence. We'll see who they come in for in just a moment. But first, Johnson with a header back to John Burner. In the 79th minute, as you can see, the only goal in this one came in the 11th minute. Corey Burke unassisted, intercepting a header by Bilal Duckett that was meant as a back ball for John Burner, but it was a sloppy attempt, leading to Burke scoring on an empty net. Martinez, pass is picked off by Trusty. Now Washington brings it up ahead. Chambers. This is Misimo. Charging down the right, Lucchini. 1v1 on Slogic. Joining in Ekra. That leads to a turnover. Kalungi. Patrick Slogic, the Cornell graduate. Enzo Martinez will string it ahead now. Swiping in Akiyande. Back the other way. Steele with the interception. Akiyande, rule is advantage, even though Chambers was taken down. And Akiyande goes down in the box looking for a foul. Jan Ecker was the one who came through with the challenge, and he takes it away. Back the other way. Caleb Calvert lost possession, leads to a foul, and there'll be more. Upstairs Rubio Vasquez, and it'll lead to a booking to a stunned Caleb Calvert.
I think Caleb has a case there. Caleb is in possession of the ball. The defender is coming in behind him. So how does he see him and foul him? That's what Caleb is arguing.
Yep.
He's trying to protect the ball, and he's got the right to protect the ball.
So that will be the second yellow of the year for Caleb Calvert. And Jack Metcalf will check in now. It appears he's going to come in for Patrick Slogic. He will. We'll take a look at this again.
Oh,
Well,
that's okay.
he reached
Yeah,
back. That was where he got him. So thanks to the terrific directorship of Ryan Brown here, we get to see why that was certainly a yellow.
Number 8, Calvert.
That now makes sense.
And here comes the aforementioned Raheem Taylor Parks. And he's going to replace Misimo. So Cole Misimo off after his 9th game of the year for Bethlehem Steel.
Independent substitution in the 80th minute.
And lining up back is the captain of the team, Ryan Richter. Jorge Herrera now wearing the captain's armband after Duckett left the game. Richter goes far post. It chips in on net. Nicely done by Chambers. Leads to a free ball in the 6. Trying to turn around now. Chambers will fire, and it's deflected wide. Looked like that Metcalf got a piece of that, but they're ruling a goal kick.
Never stands there for the Independents.
Entering game number 53, Raheem Taylor.
Charlotte got a break there. Looked like that Metcalf got a piece of that ball that Chambers put forward.
That's the tricky part of playing 3 in the back. Yannick Ekra has to drop deep into that central row in front of the defenders to provide a diamond. Otherwise, they're going to be too narrow.
That's right.
And still is going to have lots of space wide to attack.
Hellman in the open field. Slide comes in, leads to the box, and Caleb Calvert was held up, it appeared, giving time to Badir to pick up the ball. Hellman is still down. Another through ball. And with Calvert still down, Bethlehem Steel going to play on. This is Taylor Parks back at the other end. Jew Marcus Davidson there to intercept. Hellman is now back up.
Proud to be the presenting sponsor and official team
Johnson,
of your
Caleb
Charlotte
Calvert,
Independents.
Joel back
North
with it,
Carolina.
taken right away by
You
Richter.
improved.
Taylor Parks. And Bethlehem Steel trying to salt away the lead here. Up the field, Taylor Parks. Going in the box, Lacini goes down. Challenge provided by Metcalf. Jew Marcus Davidson will try to retaliate. Independence without a goal. Jorge Herrera, here's Hellman. In
That's
the
a
box.
PK. That has to be
Down goes, it appeared, Caleb Calvert to the left side. Now Martinez goes in, and it goes wide. That was Martinez who went down in the box, but no foul called. Ortho Carolina, proud to be the presenting sponsor and official team physician of your Charlotte Independents. Ortho Carolina, you improved.
With your Charlotte Independents host Swansea City. Wednesday,
In the
July
83rd minute,
13th.
Independence
Now, fans, get your tickets now. Tickets are going fast.
has lost
Some sections already
1-0
sold out.
game this year, and of
You
course
don't
that
miss
was
any
right
of the
here
action right here.
on opening night in the most heartbreaking
As your
fashion
Independents
possible.
take on
Jamie
Swansea
Chambers
City,
hit with a
Wednesday,
foul
July
as that ball was in
13th.
the air. Louisville City
For
scoring on the
information,
last kick
visit
of the
guest
game
relations stand located
in injury
next to
time.
the
In
merchandise
added
stand.
time, it was a free kick that came from about 20 yards out. A goal at the death. And ever since then, Louisville City has been just rolling right along, currently in first place in the Eastern Conference, 3 clear of the New York Red Bulls 2, and we have a foul called. 84th minute, Derek Jones gets the foul. That's the only time this year that Independence has been shut out at home. Bethlehem Steel, though, going for something only LCFC has done.
Independence doing everything right now except the final shot or the final touch into the box. They need to test the goalkeeper a little bit more. Take shots on the goalkeeper. Make the goalkeeper make saves.
Herrera in a dangerous spot. It's been a while since we've seen Jorge go 90 minutes. Herrera chips it in. Brown, Ekra, and we've got a whistle. And we've got a foul as the ball was in the air. Badir had secured it anyhow. And David Estrada will be the next Charlotte man into the game.
And he won't mind taking as much time as he wants to set it up for the next play.
So Estrada will come in at the next dead ball. And Jorge Herrera, just as I was talking about him going 90 minutes, it's going to, well, I thought he was going out, but actually it's going to be Caleb Calvert going out.
85th minute. Entering the game, number 11, David Estrada.
So David Estrada, who assisted on the first goal last week for Independence, the first that two scored by Jorge Herrera, comes in. This was the first game all year in which David has not started, the first USL game, that is. David Estrada was a teammate with several of these Bethlehem Steel players. They played on Sacramento Republic's 2014 USL Championship team.
Please, if you'd like to meet the players, take a picture or get an
Marcus
autograph,
Davidson.
we ask that you please
Independence charging forward, trying to find the equalizer. Ekra
The players are going to make their way over.
can't find the
shortly after
rhythm
the final whistle.
or the cohesiveness to set up that long ball.
Yeah, you don't want to give up possession like that in a situation where you're trying to get a goal back.
Enter the field. Remember, only authorized personnel
Mickey
are
Daly
allowed on
was
the
one of
field
those
after the
players
game.
who
We
played
thank
with
you for
David
your
Estrada
cooperation.
in Sacramento. Both of those players now have migrated east. Kalungi doing with Raheem Taylor Parks, and Taylor Parks is hit with the infraction.
There was a tag on Kalungi's shots there.
This would be the biggest win, most likely, in the young history of Bethlehem Steel FC. That is the current version. The version that was back in the early 20th century was as successful as any team in American soccer at that early point. Jan Ekra turns to the left. Herrera plays it back. Marcus Davidson flips to the right. Metcalf in there. Estrada. Enzo Martinez into the 18. Leaves it for Estrada. Pass was blocked away. Nicely done by Derek Jones. And Charlotte gets another corner.
Yeah, good intricate passes, but then again, there is no shot in the end. Need to take shots.
And it's tough getting set pieces lined up here, even though Bethlehem Steel gives up goals in set pieces. A lot of balls have wound up like that, headed out of the box almost without ease, without any effort whatsoever. Herrera chips it in. Johnson chested it down. Momentarily, Enzo Martinez had a chance, but it wound up being kicked out.
Great idea, though. Just didn't turn out the way you wanted it.
Ekra to the right. Metcalf looks for Herrera. Washington swipes in to steal it. Bump from behind. Ball chipped forward and away from Josh Hurd. Estrada goes wide once again. Charlotte has opted to go wide to the right most often tonight. Metcalf brings it forth. Chris Hellman has it go deep in the box.
First touch let him down there.
And Jamie Chambers sends it away.
And June is now the center back.
Pretty much the lone man back right now. Charlotte's bringing 10 men up, or 9 men up. Johnson flops to the far end. Ball deflected, and it'll lead to another Charlotte corner. Charlotte has had few opportunities on their set pieces tonight.
It now looks like the first 10 minutes of the first half.
Yep.
But can they convert these chances, opportunities into a goal? That's the big question right now. It's difficult when you're chasing a game than it is when the game is 0-0 or it's tied up.
Jack's Militia making noise. Enzo puts it in. Deflected up in the air. Badir. The net is empty, and we have a foul called late. Looked like that Ekra came up from behind, or Kalungi rather came up from behind on Badir and make the slightest contact, and that's enough to get a foul called.
In those situations, the referees always protect the defenders or protect the goalkeepers. I never understand that part, because if that situation happened in the middle of the field, that was never going to be a call.
That's right. But the goaltenders have to be protected. Going to have another substitute coming in here for Bethlehem FC. Right now, the Steel more than willing to concede possession in order to send 11 back behind the ball. John Berner getting latitude to come well out of the box to play it deep down. Bounce away from Brown, nearly came to Estrada, but it was kicked away by Jones. Taylor Parks tries to get in position, but Kalungi was there to head it back. Now Ekra sends it down. McDaly there to send it away. Jones didn't get all that on the clearance. Davidson, Estrada, or Hellman rather. Now Metcalf will leap up in the air. As time runs down, no word. Looks like it's going to be 4 minutes of added time here. We can see the
injuries, yes.
And the bookings. And we have a handball call to the far end on Joel Johnson. And with that, we're going to see 57 come in. This will be McMaster.
Fans, the fourth official has announced there'll be a minimum of 4 minutes.
So we have officially 4 minutes of injured time
here. 4
here.
minutes of stoppage time.
So McMaster comes in for Bethlehem Steel FC.
I think this is just a substitution to
Kill time.
Disrupt the Independence flow right now, the momentum, and give the Steel a little bit more time to breathe.
Justin McMaster about to check in. And it looks like another player is being summoned off the bench. This is Mark McKenzie, who's regularly a right back. McMaster, an academy player for Philadelphia Union. Again, taking a long time to get this ball back in play here.
Substitution in the 90th minute. Entering the game.
And it's going to be 43, Jamie Lucchini going out. So this is a defense for offense substitution. And I imagine that's going to be why McKenzie will check into the game momentarily. 4 minutes of added time officially. And now Berner out of the net has the ball stripped, but Taylor Parks couldn't catch up with it. Oh, they're going to rule that it's going to be Bethlehem ball, and that has the Charlotte bench in disbelief. Again, Mike Jeffries has come out of the box, and official Rubio Vasquez is looking right back at him and telling him to get back in the coach's box.
Mike Jeffries is upset with the gamemanship going on right now on the field.
That does cut both ways. Charlotte also had a similar situation this year against FC Montreal, where Philippe Urifoy was upset with Mike Jeffries over a similar situation. So, again, gamesmanship. Washington throws it in deep.
And they're going to keep going into that corner flag, try to keep possession in that corner as much as they can. Get a free kick, get a corner kick.
And they'll get a goal kick here.
In this case, the Independents get a goal kick. This is probably what they need. Just get the ball forward as quickly as they can. June wanted it short to keep up Waved-in forward.
Hellman goes for it, but they can't win the 50-50 ball again. The big bodies come forward, and Taylor Parks winds up fouling. Fans, don't forget Novant Health is the official health care provider of Charlotte Independence. Novant Health, improving the health of our community one person at a time. Enzo Martinez goes down. Play continues. Chambers with a long ball ahead. This is Taylor Parks. Wide to the left, but no one trailing him. He'll go 1v1 on Kalungi. Shift to the right. Just looking to maintain possession here. Does so. Chambers.
He will just hold possession. There's no need for him to try and shoot and score, because if he loses the ball, it goes down their throats quickly. Independents need to do a better job maintaining possession as soon as they win it.
Then Brown grabbed from behind, and that's going to lead to a foul. Trusty was hit with the foul.
The Bethlehem still have gone down to a 4-4-1-1 formation, basically a 4-5-1 formation, just a defensive formation. They're just trying to see this game out. And they got 30 seconds of that, 20 seconds late to be said.
Roughly that much. Enzo Martinez. Ball headed down in the box, and the attempt goes wide. Chris Hellman had a chance. And this is going to be a very frustrating loss if the final whistle sounds here. And almost as an insurance point, Bethlehem Steel is going to line up a final substitution here. Badir keeps the ball in play. Metcalf running for it. Chambers, though, outduels him for the ball. Well, these are some muscular
He's a
players.
strong fella to play against.
Yep. In the box, Jones with a one-touch,
So
and
the
the save is
offside.
made, Burner, but they were offside. Charlotte now trying to get the ball in play, but a substitution is going to be made. This is Mark McKenzie who's going to come into the game. McKenzie left the game last week against the New York Red Bulls 2 because of an injury. He didn't start tonight, obviously,
Bethlehem substitution in the
but here
90th
he will
minute.
check in for Derek Jones.
And Derek Jones is taking his time to
Entered
come
the
off the
game,
field.
number 50, Mark McKenzie.
Well,
Okay,
Exiting the
another
game,
another
number
game
35, Derek
management
Jones.
tactic by Bethlehem. Just trying to see the game out.
5 minutes into added time now, so the final whistle could be coming at any point. Ball sent away by Taylor Parks. Now Strada. And that's the final whistle. And a frustrating loss tonight. Independence went up against an MLS 2 team tonight.
Fans, that's the end of the match.
And for the second
final score is
time in as many games against MLS 2 teams,
0.
Charlotte loses. Orlando City B wound up beating Independence on Memorial Day weekend. And here tonight, Charlotte loses for the first time since opening night. The only goal of the evening from Corey Burke. And Bethlehem Steel FC now firmly in the playoff chase in the Eastern Conference as they earn its 4th win of the season. Their record now 4-4-4 on the year. And Independence has their winless streak extended. Charlotte now has a 5-game USL winless streak, and they've gone now from being on the verge of being at the top of the Eastern Conference table to now in the midst of a playoff chase as they fall at home tonight 1-0 to Bethlehem Steel FC in what was a frustrating night all the way around.
Fans, that'll do it for tonight. Thank you to everyone who
We're going to
came
pause
out.
here for a timeout,
We greatly
and we'll come back and
appreciate your
recap this one
support
for
and
you as
look forward to
Bethlehem
seeing you
Steel
back here
FC
at Ramble again
earns the victory.
Next Saturday,
It's their
June 18th,
second road
when your
victory of the
Independence
year
take on the Richmond
and their
Kickers.
first since their
Kickoff
first
once again
game of the
set for
season back in
7
March.
p.m.
1-0,
But we will
Bethlehem
have a
Steel
special
FC
pregame
wins. We'll be
program
back in just a
beginning at
moment.
5 p.m.
Here's Bernal stretched out to the middle. Back to Green.
Broke it up. There's a shot. They score! They score!
Disappointing result tonight here at the Ramblewood Soccer Complex as Independence winds up falling to Bethlehem Steel FC 1-0. And we'll take a look at the only tally in this one here tonight. And it came in minute 11. This is the game recap presented by Wells Fargo. And Bilal Duckett tried to get a header forward to John Berner, but obviously Bilal didn't get enough on that. A poorly played ball, and Corey Burke scores his first professional goal, and he'll also get his first game-winning goal in America. The veteran from Jamaica, who plays professionally in the Red Stripe Premier League in Jamaica, scores the only goal of the night. That came in the 11th minute, and it was enough for Bethlehem Steel FC to defeat Charlotte Independence 1-0. Charlotte really struggled to make chances even after Bethlehem Steel conceded possession, Patrick, and when you get right down to it, Charlotte had a tough matchup going up against bigger bodies here this evening.
They did, and Bethlehem had a game plan. They stuck to it. They went after Charlotte right from the beginning, got their goal, and then as soon as they got their goal, they just sat back and defended. They allowed Charlotte to possess as much as they could, but Charlotte was just possessing in front of them in the first half. In the second half, that changed. Charlotte started getting in behind people and started making the keeper do a little bit more work. But again, the final finish was lacking, the final product. That's what probably Coach Mike will be talking about.
So Independent, no question about that. Charlotte is shut out for the third time this season. They had the 1-0 loss here on opening night back on March 26th against Louisville City. Their last shutout was a scoreless draw against Rochester, and here tonight they get whitewashed. Samir Badir comes up with his first clean sheet and his first victory of the season. The veteran who has played in Colorado Springs, he's played with Oklahoma City and also in Egypt, winds up with the win. John Berner takes the loss. He's now 0-2-1. So Independence, with the loss, they drop to 5-4-3. They are at currently 18 points. They are still tied for fifth for now in the Eastern Conference. Rochester will have something to say about that. Bethlehem Steel earns its second road win of the year, and they are now up to 16 points. They have a game at hand. They've actually played one more game than Charlotte, and they are now at 5-7-1 on the season. Our next broadcast will come your way on Saturday next week, as the Richmond Kickers will make their second visit in 2 months here to Ramblewood Soccer Complex, their final visit of the season. They will take on Charlotte Independence. We'll be back here at 7 o'clock next Saturday night as Independence will try to end a 5-game winless streak in USL play. Patrick, great to see you as always.
Jeff, my pleasure.
And this has been our Wells Fargo recap. Also, the Wells Fargo save of the game certainly has to go to John Berner knocking that ball away on a header attempt earlier on the first half. That prevented what could have been a second goal for Bethlehem Steel FC, but one was all they needed tonight, scored by that man, Corey Burke. Bethlehem Steel FC 1, Charlotte Independence 0. For Patrick and for Ryan Brown, this is Jeff Hamlin saying goodnight from Ramblewood Soccer Complex.